So today we are going to be talking about graphing linear equations and writing linear equations. And we're going to talk about the slope-intercept form. Next class we'll talk about the point-slope form, but for today we're just talking about 2.1, the slope-intercept form. Okay. So by the end of class today, you'll be able to define the slope-intercept form, to graph linear equations using it, and to write linear equations using it. All right, so our first objective is to be able to define the slope-intercept form. And in your notes you have this for 2.1. Okay, so what is the slope-intercept form? Well, it's just a form of an equation of a line. And the equation is y equals mx plus b, which hopefully you've seen before and have used before. Y equals mx plus b. Okay? It's called the slope-intercept form. The reason this word slope is there is because we use the slope in the form. It's m, and you can see right there y equals mx plus b. That's where the slope is. Slope is m. And it's called the slope-intercept form. The intercept is, we use the letter b as in begin, and it's right there. You can see y equals mx plus b, where again it's the slope-intercept form, where we have the slope of m and the equation, and the y-intercept of b. And what is the slope-intercept form? It's just an equation of a line. It's a way of writing the equation of a line, and it's easy to deal with because we have our slope and our y-intercepts. Okay, moving on here. Our next objective, we had to define it, which we've done. The slope-intercept form is an equation of line where y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. So our next objective was to be able to graph linear equations using it. So let me show you the process for doing that. Imagine we had this line, y equals 3x minus 4. I'm going to write it up here. Y equals 3x minus 4. Okay? Well, our slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to take our previous one, y equals 3x minus 4, and I'm going to put it in the format of y equals mx plus b by changing it a little bit to y equals 3x plus negative 4. All I did was I took that 3x minus 4 and I changed it into a 3x plus negative 4. And the reason I did that is now it should be really easy to see, well, what is the y-intercept? What is b? And looking at the equation right above it, hopefully it should be easy to see that b is negative 4. Those are in the same place. Y equals mx plus b, y equals 3x plus negative 4. So b and negative 4 are in the same place. So b is equal to negative 4. So what do we do with that? If the y-intercept b is negative 4, then what we do is we plot the point 0, negative 4, or the place where the line is going to cross the y-axis is at negative 4, which is that point right there. So the y equals 3x minus 4, the negative 4 tells us that it crosses the y-axis at negative 4. So I put that point in right there where the arrow is flashing. Now to draw a line, all I need are 2 points. And I already have one through B. It tells us where we cross the y-axis. We already have that one. What I need is one more point. And to do that, I'm going to try to figure out what the slope is. And again, if it's in slope-intercept form, hopefully it should be really easy to figure out that in this case, y equals 3x plus negative 4 and y equals mx plus b, that m is in the same place as that 3. So in this case, m is going to be equal to 3. My slope is going to be equal to 3. Okay, great. So again, you can think of b, y equals mx plus b. B is begin. I begin by first putting in the negative 4 in this case. Now, m stands for move. Where do I move from there to find my second point? Okay. And so if the slope is 3, we use what that means. Remember our last class, our last lecture, we talked about that slope is rise over run. We use that to find the second point. And if m equals 3, 3 rise over run, 3 is just equal to 3 over 1. So from that first point, I need to rise 3. So from that point where we're at 0, negative 4, where we begin for b, I'm going to rise 3. So, okay, from that point, I'm going to rise 1, 2, 3. Great. Now, as rise over run, how much do I run? Well, I run 1. That means I go to the right 1. So from there, I go run 1 there. So rise over run from my beginning point gives me a new point right there. So now I have 2 points. And if you have 2 points, you can draw a line, because there's only one line in the universe that goes through those 2 points, and it's this line right there. So if you have 2 points, you can do that and draw the line. So doing these problems, I put it in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, which we did. And then we found out what b is. We begin with b. In this case, we began with b at negative 4, so I know it crosses at negative 4. It's at the point 0, negative 4. Then we find out what m is, m for slope, but m where we move from that first point. And from that first point, we know we move, in this case, 3 over 1, rise 3, run 1, and that gave us a second point. Once we have that second point, now we have 2 points. You can draw a line in between them to give us our line that we're trying to graph here. So begin with B, then move M. You've got 2 points. Draw the line. Okay, so we said we had 3 objectives. The first was to define what the slope-intercept form was. We did y equals mx plus b. The next objective was to use it to help us graph equations, and that's what we just did here. Again, begin with b where it crosses the y-intercept, and then move with m to move, rise over run from that first point to a second point. And so our third objective was to be able to write linear equations using slope-intercept form. So what if an equation, we get information about an equation? Can we write an equation here? So for example problem 3, which is asking us, find the equation of a line with the slope of 3 and the y-intercept of negative 5. Okay, well, we know the slope is 3 and the y-intercept is negative 5. And the slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where m is my slope and b is my y-intercept. So I'm just going to plug in my values here. M is going to be 3 and b is going to be negative 5, because m is my slope and it tells us our slope is 3. And b is going to be negative 5 because it tells us our y-intercept is negative 5. So I've got y equals 3x plus negative 5. I'm almost done. We don't leave it as plus negative 5. Plus negative 5 is the same thing as just minus 5. So it would be y equals 3x minus 5. And so there's our equation for in slope-intercept form of an equation with a slope of 3 and a y-intercept of -5 is just y equals 3x minus 5.